You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny
Thank you, Benny.
Gold. Today we welcome in our friend Michael Kotik, partner at SKA Law Group, focusing on criminal defense in Philadelphia and licensed in New Jersey. Our friend Michael, we saw you in the summer, man. It's good to see you virtually. How's it going?
Good, man. You need to do more of those events. I know you got one coming up on the 22nd in
Yeah,
Miami.
we want to do New York again come the spring, so
I'm in for the New York
yeah,
one. You got
yeah,
me
no,
there.
it was a blast, man, and I appreciate you coming out. We threw a nice ripper in Brooklyn, June 6th, on a nice rooftop. Thank you, and shout out to our friends at Mean Pug Digital for their rooftop. Michael came down. We finally met after years of Instagram friendship. It was great.
More than years.
Years, man, because right here in my records, so we first featured you on Lawyer Stories on February 13th, 2020. Dude, it is now like the second day of January 2024. So let's just say 4 years, bro. Like
And I gotta say, that was one of the best advertisement I did. That was great, man. Connected with a lot of good people.
that's great. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to connect you with everybody I possibly can.
You're
Yeah,
doing
it
a
was a
hell of a
pleasure.
job,
I
man.
really, I just want to say on behalf of like Lawyer Stories, like thanks for your support, man. These last 4 years, I know, I appreciate bouncing off ideas from you. You come in, you giving me videos to post. Now we're finally doing the podcast. You have a really cool story. Like I'm glad to have you on the show.
I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it.
And by the way, like one of your videos got like one of the most views ever of a video in my reels, which was the why is a trial so expensive video. And
Oh
I'll
yeah.
play that in the reels like every now and then just because it's a really successful video. So
Nobody understands. Everybody's like, listen, we gotta spend. Why am I paying you 50 grand, 75 grand, 100 grand? The amount of hours that go into prep these freaking things.
yep,
It's not the trial. Trials are 4 or 5 days you're done. The prep work behind it, oh
prep.
my god, man, that's where everything gets spent. That's between getting your guys in there, going through every discovery, every piece. That's where you can easily go through 75, 80% of your budget. The
Yeah, no,
next
I bet it's crazy. And
you
you did,
do it if you do it right. There's some guys that just take the money and wing it. Like we have a whole. I gotta show you some my setup at my office.
yeah,
We even have like a moot court where I bring in other people to question
okay,
our
yep,
witnesses. Like I
yep,
have like a panel almost from my office. So before he goes to trial, we break it down to this point. We kind of know what questions the prosecutor is going to ask, how the jury will look at some of these answers, because we have people that actually listen to this, like kind of like a little panel we
yep,
hire out.
yeah.
That's the ticket, man. You do it like that, you got a
No, and
way better
I
shot
bet.
at
I mean, I know you're very thorough with your trials. You know, you love being in court. I have heard of actually like insurance defense place shops and like personal injury. They do that. They want to see what's going to happen with the jury, and so they get like a test of people in there.
and you want
So
to see your guy. You want to see if he's going to fold or not. That's
that's
the
right. That's right.
that's
So Michael, your lawyer story is amazing. Take us back to coming with your family from the Ukraine in '89. You lived in Austria, Italy, and then Philly. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we went from Kiev, which was Russia at the time, to Austria, lived there for a bit, Italy, then to New York, from New York to Philadelphia, and then finally landed in Bucks County after everything.
Yeah, that's.
So, but it was almost like a couple of year journey until we actually got where we needed to be.
Do you
At
remember
that point,
why, like, your parents were coming over and like what the backstory is that
it's
for
it's,
them?
it's like most immigrant stories. It's your parents do it because they want a better life for your kids.
So
So
were they working? Like your parents were they working? Like what were they doing?
yeah, yeah. My pop ran like a giant industrial place for artillery, military vehicles. Mom was a teacher there. They gave all that up. Came here. She became a secretary. He opened up a mechanic shop,
Okay.
and that was it. So they gave up. They had a good life there. It was a
Yeah.
comfortable life, but like lot of people in the same predicament. You leave because you want a better life for your children. Because as glamorous as you may see the country, you make one mistake that you're doing 10 years.
Yeah, yeah, no,
There's no
that's
laws there. So Russia's insane. I mean, it has some good parts, just like any other country, but it's run not like America, where you have every opportunity to make it. It's pretty much up to the person. There's nothing that holds you down here.
Did you ever think of immigration law rather than criminal defense?
Nah, man, I need the courtroom.
You
I,
like the
I need,
court, okay.
I
Not the
need to be in.
administrative
I can't.
proceedings and that sort of
I
thing.
can't. I I sympathize with it. That's why we
Yep,
even have like this thing where a lot of my immigrant clients, I'll give them a break. Sometimes I'll help them out just on the house with a little bit of pro bono work. 'Cause I understand where this come. I
right.
understand the struggle, but I gotta be in a courtroom, brother.
Yeah.
I gotta see the faces, the expressions, and I gotta try to convince somebody I'm right.
That's I love that. So you were always working hard, just like your family was when they came over. You were at Drexel and worked for a pharmaceutical company. You opened a website. Tell this is before. I'm not getting into the bar prep company you had, but like, tell us about the website.
Yeah, man. So I was at Drexel. I worked. No, I worked for a couple of one internship. I worked for Merck. I worked at a pharmaceutical company.
Yep.
Great place, boring though. Absolutely, just you know. What do you? I can't sit still. I can't be around.
Right. Right.
It
Right.
was the hardest part for me wasn't the job. The hardest part for me was being there from 9 to 5. I just couldn't be in the same cubicle.
Not your
Then
thing.
I
So,
went. So I was opening up little businesses. One was a website development company that made some money. Then I did from there I went to work at Vanguard, which was the stockbroker company. Did pretty good there. And then, market hit '07, '08, life changed. And I was like, crap, I gotta something else to do.
yeah. Yeah.
Went to
Yeah.
law school. Went to law school. Um, '07. I think I started law school '07. Maybe I think that's when I first
Okay.
came in there. Gave up money, gave up everything I had, lived off a couple of bucks I had in the bank because
There you go.
back then when you're making yeah, sorry. Back then when you're making money, you're spending it. You don't know what the hell to do with
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
So
you don't. And like, especially like law students. I don't know. You seem to have, you had a job before you went to law school, so you probably did know the value of like what you were spending and putting into it. But
who did? You're a 21-year-old kid with like, 4 grand a week. Like,
yeah. No, I
it's,
know.
it's
That's yeah,
it's flushed down the toilet.
it's
Law school.
amazing.
Then you go to law school. You're working at $10 an hour as an
Yeah,
intern. As an intern somewhere, you're looking around. What the hell am I doing with myself?
man. Well, tell us. So you had a bar prep company too,
Yeah,
tutorforbar.com.
man.
Like what made you? Did you like absolutely destroy the bar and you're like, all right, I'm going to teach kids how to do this? Like
You
what?
know what? You know what happened? You have to wait. You know how it is. We have to wait for the results.
Mhm.
Nobody's really hiring you to give you some money. So if you do get a job, they'll give you like 50 grand, 60 grand a year starting salary until you become a lawyer. Then you can
Right.
actually start making real money. So I'm like, I need more. So I figured I passed the bar. I know what I did wrong. I know what I did right. I could probably not convince, but I could probably explain the law and how to take the bar prep better than some of the professors that were doing it.
Yep.
Because I kind of did my own thing on it. And I got one kid, two kids. Next thing you know, I had like 10, 15 kids I was tutoring.
Really.
And good part of them passed that bar after failing a
Yeah.
couple of times. I was shocked myself. I'm like,
You
oh
were
crap.
shot. You were probably had your fingers crossed. You were praying. So like,
And,
what
and I
was?
and
Yeah.
Betty, I was honest with him. I'm like, listen, I'm doing this prior tutoring. I just passed it. I kind of know what to do. Here's what you do. I've not done it before. They took a shot, and I always remember I was in the airport getting on a flight, and a girl called me. She's like, "I passed. Thank you." I'm like, I was more shocked than she was that it actually
Yeah.
panned out. And then I was getting another phone call. I passed. Thank you so much. I passed.
Yep.
I should have stuck around, but became a lawyer. You're in court every day. You kind of forget about that. But that business held me over for a good year.
Yeah. So how long did you do that for?
I had it for a year, and I thought I could funnel it to somebody else and let me
Okay.
market it, and then get tutors to sign
Yep.
on. but it's not the same. It's like it's like at a restaurant. If you're the cook, you buy the restaurant with the cook. You can't put another cook in there. It won't be the same thing.
Right,
The
right.
product won't be the same. And that's
Especially
kind of
something like bar prep, you got to have the right person. You know,
yeah.
they're
You
really
gotta
like depending on
you,
you.
you gotta have and you gotta have the patience with them. I remember I had this one girl from Ireland. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning. I would do tutors because it was the hour difference.
Yep, yep,
So I would wake up 4 in the morning, and her and I would go slow. Imagine 4 o'clock in the morning after sleeping.
yep,
You're about to talk about constitutional law,
yeah.
like
Well,
a
you're probably
couple.
dreaming about it all night because you have to get
Now
up and.
I liked explaining it, and she got it. We went for a couple of hours, and it got me going for the day to come. So it turned out pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's great. Hopefully, she's a lawyer out there somewhere. Maybe you should Google it.
Somewhere in Ireland.
In Ireland. All right. So you worked at the PA's office?
DA's office. I interned back in when I was still in Drexel. Got out of Drexel. Passed after I passed the bar. Went to work for a firm for 4 years. It was just criminal. I would DA's office was a great place. Philly DA's office was actually a pretty nice place to work. Only thing is, I had a problem putting people. I couldn't put people in jail. Like it was in. I didn't have the heart for it.
Really?
Nah, man, I couldn't do it.
So what did you do instead? You just got like a
If you
lesser sentence?
if you got me, I was figuring things out. Like maybe I can work something out where I can give you a community service. I just I think we all do bad stuff.
Yep.
We're not bad people. We all get into stupid situations where we do bad things.
Right.
Doesn't mean that you got to have your whole life taken away from you over one stupid mistake.
Right. Right.
And if you really break it down, I don't like. I look at some of the, like you go out, you're with a girl, you come out of dinner, you get into a fight with somebody on the street. Listen, things happen.
Yep.
Should you have a record for simple assault? Should you be like done with your life where you can't get a job, you can't feed your family because one day it's not right?
Yeah.
Most in criminal law, most of your guys aren't going to be criminals. They're just people who had a bad day.
I like that. So is that sort of like a not really like a policy argument you use like that you might have something in law school when they say, well, what's like the policy like surrounded that? That's sort of like a general thing that you could use with a lot of cases. I mean, have you ever or do you try to do that
Well,
sometimes or not
I,
really?
I look at it like that every time I get somebody
Yeah.
in a chair in my conference room. I get it. Like, look, nobody wakes up saying I'm going to do something horrible. No, like most of our stuff is like there's a couple of things with guns, right? Guns are
Yep.
big deal in Philly.
Yeah.
But if you look at Philadelphia as a whole, it's a dangerous place.
Right.
It if you're walking around the city, there's robberies, there's shootings, there's things. It's not. It's worse than it probably ever was in the last 13 years I've been practicing.
Wow.
So you got a guy who lives in downtown, right? And he may have forgotten to register his firearms for a license to carry. They're going to arrest him. They're going to try to drop a felony on the guy. He
Wow.
did everything else right, but he might have forgot. Is he a bad guy? No. Then you got a guy who went in there, got into a fight, thought he was defending his life, got shot somebody, and it's literal self defense. But the way the police came when they got him, they don't look at it as self defense. They look
Right.
at it as
Right.
he shot somebody. Is that guy supposed to do time because he's trying to protect his family? That's not right. And then you have those smaller stuff where guy had a drink, he gets in a car, he drives, he gets pulled over. Look, it happens to a lot of people, but should he ruin his doctor's license, his
Yep.
career, his professional license over this? No, you got to figure out ways to. I think everybody deserves a second chance.
Hmm.
My dad has a good saying. It's like, let God scare us, but never punish us. I
Okay.
like that
I
because
like that. Yeah. Yeah.
you got a chance, you messed up, got a break, I got you out of it. Don't do it again. And most people learn. Most people you don't get repeat business. The ones that you
Okay.
do get
All
the
right.
repeat business, that's the ones that is a little bit different story behind it.
Gotcha. And you probably do have some of those that come to see you. Michael, I screwed up again, you know?
Sometimes and then you see what that there's a divide there as well. A lot of
Yeah.
times that stuff, Ben, is guys who are dealing with addiction problems.
Right.
There's guys that'll be clean for 10, 15 years and boom, they go right back on it. And
Wow.
then they go out and commit crimes and they do stuff that, to feed the addiction that they got going on. So if you look at it in that light, look, is he a criminal or is he a person that needs help? He needs to, recycle the brain, recycle the things that are going on inside of him, give him another spot. That I can understand. And then you got the small percent that are just guys that's the life. But
Right,
that's
right.
a small percent of it. Most of it is good people just having a bad day, bro.
So when you were in law school, like, did you know you wanted to do criminal work?
Nah, man, I had no idea what this is.
Yeah, no.
I
Well,
knew I
let
had a
me
little
show you.
bit
I
of
got something to show you, Michael. Look, from when I was in
yeah.
law school, I pulled this up. It's a little, let's see what it was. This for everybody listening on there is my Cali Award for criminal procedure at
You got a
Rochester
Cali Award for
School of
criminal
Law.
procedure?
My criminal procedure Cali Law, my one claim to fame at law school.
Betty,
Uh,
why is that stapled to a thing? You should frame that.
well, it is Fran. That's just a photocopy, or as that's a Xerox, as they would say, and the other one's in my office. It's I do nothing to do with criminal procedure, but it's still in my office, and nobody who I work with probably knows what the hell it is, but I still look at it with pride. So, anyway, back
So,
to you. What's that?
so I ask you, why didn't you go further on it? You got the
Oh, I
award.
loved it. I loved the whole jurisprudence of criminal procedure, the search and everything. Man, was amazing. And I remember it was an 8-hour take home final, and I crushed it. Finally, something. So you have an entrepreneurial spirit. So give us some advice for somebody who wants to launch their own law firm.
Look, before you launch your own law firm, you need practice. You need to fail. You need to go in and you need to lose a case or two. You need to learn what it is to mess up. You need to learn what it is not to sleep a couple of nights, knowing that have some issues at work that may not be resolved with a phone call or an email or some other means. You have to learn a couple of years of falling on your ass.
Yep.
After that, you open up your own law firm. I would not recommend doing it right off the blue. If you go ahead and you decide to do it right out of law school, understand that you will make mistakes, and those mistakes are going to be cost effective, not to you, but to the people that are paying you money to represent
Right.
you.
Right.
So you can't do that. Go work somewhere. 4 or 5 years, learn what to do, what not to do, who to call when there's a problem, how to act in front of people. Don't lie to yourself. When you're ready, you're ready. When you're ready, put up the board, put up the office, do it right. Don't take every client, don't take every problem. Do things that you know how to do. Things you don't know how to do, bring someone on.
There you
Bring
go.
that guy on, split the money. It's fine. It'll be better for your reputation later down the road when they know you gave them a good result, as opposed to you wing it and you try it by yourself and then you fail it and then you got to apologize to people. You
Right.
don't want a good reputation is hard to get, but it's even harder to maintain.
Hmm.
So if you have a situation where you don't know what you're doing, 1, 2, 3 bad cases, you're ruined.
Right.
Learn to do it the right way first, then start taking people's money. That's my advice. Now, some people don't think I'm right. Listen, it is what it is. That's how I look at it.
No, I like that advice a lot. Fail first, practice 4 to 5 years with somebody. Don't sleep first. Have a couple nights without sleeping. I mean, just trying to, get through the cases. But I think that that's good advice, sound advice. Uh,
Benny, sometimes it took me like I've been doing it for almost 13 years now. It took me about 10 years to realize that I know now I can read some clients and say, no, I'm not hiring them. They're not hiring me. I don't care how
really,
much money they pay me. I don't care if it's a check for 100 grand. I'm not coming near.
when do you know that? Like, is it when they're telling you what went
No,
on?
no, you learn it through experience from dealing with people. And you learn it. And also, you also want to be in a position where you put enough money away that you don't need every client to hire you.
Yeah.
Because then you can pick and choose what you want. Because if you pick the wrong guys just because you need money, you're going to do things that are going to cause you extra stress. And you
Right.
don't want them. You want to have a peaceful life. You can take high volume of clients, but make sure the clients you take are people you want to work with, as opposed to the opposite of that, where you're trying to pay the bills and you're taking every crap that comes
Right.
in,
Right.
and then you're stressing yourself out, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm doing this, and you're not happy, and the results aren't good. Like I have to tell you, majority of my clients, we follow each other on Instagram. I know their situations in their houses. New Year's, my phone was packed with thank yous and wish you all,
Yep.
happy New Year. I like building that relationship, but
Right.
you're going to spend 6 to 8 months. It might as be with people you like. But if
Right.
you need money, you're going to take things you don't want, and you're not going to know how to do it the right way. And then ultimately, what's going to happen is you're going to have headaches, and those headaches are going to result in problems.
Do you think some criminal defense attorneys, not yourself, but if they have a bad result, they're like nervous for that that defendant coming after them or going to their house or like something like that?
You know what it is? Clients aren't stupid. They're
Yeah.
not stupid. They can tell if you, they can tell that you didn't prep. They can tell if you did a half-assed job. They can
Okay.
tell if you're bullshitting them. Very, very easy to tell.
Yeah.
If you went ahead and you do a good job and you fought for them, and even if it's not the result you wanted, but you put everything you got out there, they'll see it. They'll
Okay.
see it, they'll appreciate it, and you're not gonna have a problem. But
Got it.
if you go in there and you're not prepared, you're if you think you're gonna be able to fool them, they're not stupid. Your
Right.
clients are probably smarter than you and they know what to look for. And because their life on the line, they remember every word, everything you say to them, every text message, every phone call, every conversation. You can't BS them, you can't BS yourself. You take the money, do the work.
What?
Otherwise, you're gonna have
Yeah. Go
problems.
ahead. Otherwise, go ahead.
Otherwise, you're gonna have problems.
What characteristics do you think make a good criminal defense attorney? Because I thought it was pretty interesting at one point. I think some people can just like defend like DUIs. Some people can do like trial stuff. Some people could do like, smaller type of things. But like, what does it really take to be a successful criminal defense attorney?
Then you gotta care. You gotta care. Cash cannot be that paycheck cannot be your number one thing. You have to care. You have to actually like believe that you have to really put yourself in a place where you are their family member and you're trying to save somebody you give a shit about. You really care about them, and this is a person that you need to fight for because you don't want to see him go to jail. When you care, whatever comes out of you in that courtroom, it comes from your heart. It comes like right from that place.
Hmm.
So judges see it, juries see it, prosecutors see it. They see you bleeding, and the result is amazing. If you don't care and you're looking at it as a payday, you're not going to fight that extra mile. You're not going to go the extra. You're not going to go the 12 rounds. You'll be done at 3.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And sometimes I'm exhausted, and I sit there and like, I have a rule like before I do a hearing, I have to make sure I do heart intensive review at least 5 times. And there are times where I'm exhausted. I can't function. I want to go to bed. But
Hmm.
I know because I care about the guy I'm representing, there's no way, no matter how tired I am, I'm going to make sure I sit there and I'm going to finish that 5th review over. And if I don't have anything, if I mess up somewhere or I feel like I don't have enough of something, I'm going to try to go again and again until I get it because I don't want to mess up. I don't want some guy going to jail and then his family is missing him and the kid's not there and destroying a person's life. I don't want to be
So, what
responsible.
is it that you're looking at when you're doing your review?
Making sure I hit
Every point.
every piece of evidence that was presented. Make sure I looked at everything that he or she wanted me to look at,
Mhm.
and make sure everything that I thought about that kept me up at night was answered. If that's done, I'm good. And the story's got to align. The narrative's got to make sense. It's got to make the story's got to be believable.
Right.
And you're not going to get that with 1 or 2 preps. It's just not going
Right.
to be it.
So you
Yeah.
might have to probe your client a lot for that too, right? If like you
Yeah.
don't think like something's factually accurate. I know you can, you said even
Well,
if the guy had a check for 100 grand, like you might not even want to take him on because you could tell right away. But you probably want to make sure like some of the stuff he says is credible. Do you have to probe your clients at all?
listen, I don't care if the story's horrible, just don't lie. Tell
Right.
me the truth.
So
Because
that's actually a question I have, Michael, because this is something I think like a point in law school and a point that people wonder about, including myself. So if a client like, what if a client does lie? Or like if a client does say, yeah, I killed him, and then can you
you,
still go in and like,
Benny, you ever play chess?
no.
You don't play chess? Oh, you're
My
like the
son's
game.
learning how to play checkers, but that's
All
about.
right. Okay. It's kind of like you play poker. Is that a better synopsis?
Not really, actually, to be honest
My
with you.
God, Betty, what do you do there on the weekend?
I work on
Hobby.
lawyer stories. Come on, man.
Okay, this guy doesn't have a hobby besides lawyer stories.
I
But
don't.
look, you play the hand that you get.
Yeah.
So if the hand is terrible, you play it as if it's the best hand in the world and you make it work.
Yeah.
You got to restructure your narrative to make sense so that it's not a BS story.
Yeah.
but you don't give the prosecutor a chance to open up the doors to the story, to the lines and the points and the facts of that case that make it a terrible story.
Yeah.
You understand?
Okay.
So if a guy says to me, "Look, I did it,"
Yep.
the game now changes to, "How do I make sure you don't go? Well, what did you do? Let's go over it. Maybe it's not a felony first degree homicide. Maybe I could turn this into a voluntary or an involuntary. Maybe we're not looking at life in prison now. Maybe we're looking at 10 years. You know, there's things you can do. Guy comes in and he says, look, the cops came in, they knocked at the door, they raided me. There's methamphetamine here, there's marijuana, there's cocaine here. All right, it's bad. I can't do anything about it. It's pretty much game over. Now, let's take the best drug we got, which is the marijuana. Let's reduce the weight in some capacity. Let's get you a deal that maybe give you some house arrest. Maybe flip it into that. But if you tell me some nonsense, and we're pretty much at the point where we're now going to trial on I hate to say it, but BS.
Yeah.
There's a good chance we're going to lose because I don't know the truth. I don't know what's going on, and now I'm about to go ahead and run a case under false pretenses, which the result is going to be what you don't want it to be, which is probably instead of house arrest, you're probably going to do some state time.
So what do you mean though? You take the marijuana, you take the lesser.
So
Right.
sometimes, like, so that's the example goes like this: if somebody gets arrested with a lot of drugs, right, and you know it's done for, you can work out a deal with a prosecutor where you go ahead and you get him to plead not to the possession with intent for the meth or the cocaine, but the marijuana because it's a narcotic. Lesser narcotic, maybe lesser weight, can ultimately give you a better chance of getting your guy to stay home, as opposed
Okay.
to a state prison if the meth carries a higher weight. You understand?
Yep.
But the fact is, I know now the truth of what you were doing and what's going on, and now I can tailor it by going to the prosecutor, by speaking to the police, by working out a deal, or maybe some motion to suppress that helps me get me where I need you to
Right.
be. You understand?
Right. Right.
So, but if I don't know the truth and we're going 100 miles an hour, which it's not my house. I don't know what the hell I was not there. And then there's
Yeah. Yeah.
body cams of the guy. Literally have a picture of him and his girl on the wall.
Right.
What do you want me to tell you? And now we
Yeah.
went to trial. We blew our chance to work this out the right way.
Wow. Okay. So it's just sort of like, maneuvering the facts and that stuff. But what if somebody says something, comes into a criminal defense attorney and says, I'm gonna kill that person or I'm gonna do harm. Like, is that when you have to like report it if something is like imminent?
If it looks like a crime's afoot, you have to. There's rules of ethics that require you to do that.
Okay.
But I got to tell you, the shit that happening is like I've never seen that.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird scenario.
Yeah, most guys come in after they already did it.
But
They're
you
like,
you would you would also probably look at the procedure aspect of a case too. Like if the cops raided the house, okay, well, did they do X, Y, and Z unless it was like exigent circumstances,
right.
unless
So most raids are based off warrants. You
if there
chop
was a
up that
warrant.
warrant, and
Yep.
listen, a lot of times those warrants they're not good. They miss the house. They miss some fact. It's all warrants are. When you look at a warrant, you look at what's inside the four corners of that warrant.
Yep.
So if an officer who got the probable cause based on some facts that are not within the scope of that warrant within those four corners and something is off, whether it's a different house, a different location, whether they're looking to search a garage and they're going to the kitchen basement or whatever and they're finding stuff there, you can do a lot with that, but you need
Yeah.
to know the truth about what you're dealing with. You
Right.
need to know how that house looks. You need to know whose house it is. You need to know what block it is. You got to ask a million questions, but you need the truth.
Right. Okay.
One of the first things I start with most of my clients are like, look, you signed, you paid a retainer, your credit card, your check went through, everything's good. Everything now that you say here dies here. You can't go ahead, you can't go and you can tell me that you did it, you didn't do it. I can't tell anybody.
Right.
So tell me exactly what happened so then I know exactly what I'm doing in order to make sure this case looks better for you at the end.
So if
That's what
somebody
it comes
said that
down to.
they did it, you can argue that they didn't, or you're just arguing the fact, like the.
No, no, no. So if a guy tells me, Mike, this is what happened,
Mhm.
I did this. All right. My job is now to defend what the prosecution has to prove that to show that he did do it.
Got it.
As defense attorneys, our job ain't isn't there to prove that my guy did it or didn't do it. We have to block. That's why it's defense.
Block.
We
Yeah.
have to we have to block everything that the prosecutor is going to put in, whether it's through credibility, suppression, whether it's motion limited, to get evidence thrown out to show that they can't prove enough to make their case out against our person.
Okay.
So a lot of times, what's funny? I've had cases where I sat and I didn't do anything. I just sat and listened to the questions of the prosecution, and I just kept quiet. And when I got up, my argument was, Your Honor, they didn't prove their case
Yeah.
because they didn't hit the points that they needed to hit to show that this is beyond a reasonable doubt or prima facie level at the preliminary hearing. That's for lower court. And my guy told, and he may have done it, but the fact is they didn't prove it. He walks. But you got to know the whole story. You got to know what they're missing.
Yeah.
I'm not. You don't get up there and start helping them.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes
You
sense.
sit there and like one of my best ones I ever had was the cop never identified my guy. He
Oh,
gets on the
really?
stand. He tells all this horrible things about him. It's wonderful. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, holy crap, he didn't identify him in court. And I sit there, the prosecution ends. I get up there, I say, Your Honor, there's no IDing of my client. Nobody of the three witnesses you had here, nobody said that this guy is the one that they arrested. This guy was the one you did it. They keep talking about he. Who's he? And the prosecutor's like, well, we can reopen it and we can do the identification. Too late. It's gone.
Wow. So,
Walks.
and the judge didn't even take that as like something that was
No, because
noticed by the court.
if the judge takes it, how fair is it to my guy?
Yeah. Right.
If I messed up, I got to hear about it, all day long. If they mess,
Right.
if
Right.
he messes up, they got to feel the
That's
same.
unbelievable. So did it get like dismissed or like what?
It gets dismissed, and then good prosecutors they'll refile, and then you got to figure out a different way to play that game.
Wow. All right. So it's a game of chess that I've never really played before. Okay.
You got to get your chessboard, bro.
I think so. I know. All right. So tell us about. I want to give a shout out to a motto. Like, what is it? What do you like best about like owning a firm with a motto?
Amato and I started out. I tell you, Amato is a rock star lawyer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's 13 years older than me. He mentored me when I was working for another firm, and we had a relationship like he was a good older brother.
Yeah.
But I give him. I got to tell you, he was 42, 43 when we got together, and he took a big shot. I mean, actually, he was younger. I think he was like 4. But I was like 29 years old, 30 years old.
Yep.
But he knew how hard I work. He knew that I wanted it that bad,
Hmm.
and he took a chance. He was working at a huge law firm, left that firm, and he's like, "I'm going to open up a law firm with you." And I at that point, I didn't want to be a lawyer because the firm I worked for before, things happened. I wasn't really in a good place, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I loved it. I love that courtroom. And Amato came up to me. He's like, "Listen, let's maybe we got to consider opening up our own place together."
Hmm.
And he took a chance on me when I don't know if I was in his position, I would have done it with a 29-year-old guy at a law school.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But
you had criminal experience. You're
yeah,
talking about the firm you were at
I
after the
worked for,
DA.
yeah, I worked for a firm for 4 years. It was a good place to work, but it was, I, I had some personal stuff going on, and
Sure. Yeah.
I kind of wanted to be my own boss, and I didn't want to work for anybody. I just kind of wanted to do my own thing, and I didn't know if it was going to be flawed, but I just liked what I was doing. And Amato, he's like, no, we're going to do this together.
That's awesome.
And me and him were just like we were he was the kind of guy that I could trust because I could call him at 3 o'clock in the morning, the phone would pick up.
Yep.
And I couldn't sleep. We'd run through stuff together and he'd be there. So
Yep.
I went into business with my brother.
It's
I went
awesome.
into
Yeah.
business with my brother and who I never, he jumped the friendship part to that family aspect and we
Yep.
opened up a family business together.
That's
I
amazing.
trusted
Yeah.
him, he trusted me. My job, he had a what do you call it? He had a young son at the time. His kid's Luke now. He's like about to go to college. So I said to him, "Listen, I'm gonna work different hours. Make sure I want you to spend time with your family. You make sure you help me figure out the things I don't know in becoming an amazing attorney."
Yeah.
And he took those times with me. I spent extra time because I needed to practice and I needed to learn more. So I did more of the time. And eventually, what happened was it started to become bigger than us.
Hmm.
and Amato started to run the Philadelphia office. I started to run the county office, and then we grew, and then we hired people, we hired attorneys, and it grew from literally this small little conference room with one office
Hmm.
to a couple of offices, big support staff, lawyers, bigger cases, bigger wins. But I got to tell you, I don't know if I would have taken the same shot that he took on me
Yeah.
back
Wow.
then. I think he saw something and he saw the future of it, and he's got good intuition.
Yep.
And he went with it, and then we sat and we prepped cases, and we. I remember my first trial I did with him. He went over. I must have over prepped this thing. It was a stupid, simple assault case. Like these, I could
Yep.
do these backwards now. And I over prepped it. And he went to my first hearings. He would go to my second hearings.
Sure. Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
watching it, and it's like having. I never had that support.
Yeah. Yeah.
And afterwards, even after the wins, we would talk about how to make it better, how to make it,
Yeah.
do this, that, and eventually, it's like even today, like we have a case coming up. Me and him will be on the phone. We'll fight about some other things, but we'll spend about 2, 3 hours going over what I need to go over. And then the phone call in the morning is, "Hey man, it's good. You won? Yep, that's it." And it goes on to another problem. There's nobody like that.
Yep.
That's what you look for in a partner.
No, that's
You need
amazing.
you
Yeah.
need support. And if you go into business with somebody and it's going to be money first, you're going to fail. It
Yep.
has to be a friendship. It has to be a dynamic where you guys are there because you actually want to be there together.
Hmm.
And then ultimately, because of that, if that's sound, everything else you'll make money. You'll be fine.
Was there a moment or a case that you knew you guys were growing and you needed to start hiring people and that
It,
sort of thing?
yeah, when I realized I'm coming home at like 1 o'clock in the morning,
Oh
getting in the
yeah, that's
office
no
at
good.
7,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
him and I are fighting back and forth because we're overworked.
Yep.
And we get to the point where we're like, what are we doing?
Yep.
We need to make sure we can't take any more clients on. We're not having any life because Amato cares about every freaking case there is. Like he gets to the point where he's so emotional and he bleeds over it.
Yeah.
He's gonna stay there as long. He's gonna come in the morning at 6, 7, and he's gonna leave at 12 hours later because he feels like he
Yeah.
needs to prep it the right way. And how many of these cases can you do? The more wins you get, the more people come to you. You can't do it all.
Right.
So then we ended up hiring. Our first hire was this kid Bill. Bill, great hire from the Philly DA's office. Then we got Will. Bill Burrows was our first one. Then we got Will Weiss. Will's aces. Both have the same mentality, same work ethic, same principles. And now these guys are like, Amado now has a whole group of brothers now. It's like he grew another family.
And how
So
big's your staff? Like how many attorneys, how many paralegals, how many,
staff is like we have probably more staff than we probably need. But I have to tell you, don't be afraid to spend the money.
yeah.
Don't be afraid to pay people because you don't miss anything. Everything's done. Motions are filed. Everything you want. Like we have staff meetings in the morning. We give everybody so many assignments that nobody's overwhelmed.
Okay.
And a lot of the guys I hire law students, part-time
Good.
guys.
It's good.
We put in people who, how can I say, like who really want to pursue their career, and they end up going to law school, graduating. One kid we had, an intern, went to the Brooklyn DA's office.
It's amazing.
Another kid that went, another kid that went to work for, I think, a tax office. He wanted to do tax law. Another girl's about to Ayani. That's like our one of our newer girls. She's trying to go to law school in the next couple. She's doing her
It's amazing.
LSATs right
Yeah.
now.
And
Most
go ahead.
no, most of the kids we had, they recycled through, and now they're either lawyers or they're on their way to becoming lawyers. So I like hiring new people, but mostly the ones that are transitioning from law school, excuse me, from undergrad to law school,
Yeah.
because I can mold them, I can build them the way they want to,
Right.
and hopefully, if and this is how I say them: when you become a lawyer, I need you to work 3, 4 years at DA's office or public defender's office,
Mhm.
and then if you do that, you do a couple of juries, you got a job with me guaranteed.
Wow. And
And
that's
and
like
they
that
get it.
stuff's like real lawyering too. You know what I mean? Like that's real big time lawyering. I mean, doing that.
That
So
is
what's up?
that is, but they also learn how to do a case, how to fail a case. They also know what it's like to have clients who really depend on them. But I
Mhm.
need you to do it in such a volume that, I need you to go through a little bit of struggle like I went through, like Amato went through before it's a very, I need you to, you can't just have the nice life right away. You have to go
Right.
through some of
Of
the crap.
course. Of course.
And and you have to have the clients that are tough. And you have to have the clients that are going to stress you out. But there's no other place to learn like the DA's office
Right.
in any county. I mean, their offices are probably, because they get so much workload, and it's a job where you really have to believe in it. You have to put your head into it, and that's what you want. That's what you are. The
Right.
other side is the defense work, where you have, again, public defender's office, great place to start.
Mhm.
The amount of volume they're going to give you, because anybody, if you come out by yourself as a lawyer, I'm not, as much as you work for me, I'm not going to assign cases to you
Mhm.
because I'm too afraid for you to mess them up, and then I got to deal with a lawsuit, and I got to.
Right.
There's
Right.
no way I'm
Right.
happy.
Right.
I just can't afford the risk.
Mhm.
Public defender's office, DA's office, they'll assign a bunch of things to you, and you have to prove yourself to them, and they'll
Right.
back you. They have the manpower and the support to do it. And some of the teachers there, the guys that are there for a long time, they're amazing. They're amazing. And I sometimes want them to come work for us. I can't do anything about it. They won't leave. They won't
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
They're in love with some of the DAs are in love with the idea of fixing the community.
Mhm.
The public defenders are in love with helping people that can't afford an actual lawyer and are going through some stuff and are, need somebody to really care about them. The level of, I guess, it's just, you have to give yourself to this practice in the DA's office and the public defender's office. It's far exceeds anywhere else as a law firm.
Yeah.
You really become a caring person through those
Sure.
channels. Then after you survive that and you survive the stress and you survive those bombs, then you go work for a law firm.
Yeah, and look, I had Marsha Clark. We had a nice conversation. Like I don't know if it was like 8 months ago or something, and we talked via Zoom audio. But I watched her movie about OJ, and that was intense what they dealt with. But that was prosecution side. But still, it was like they I could see like the government worker. They're still they have to deal with a lot. They work hard, and it's good experience too. So I don't blame it.
And that's the thing. I'm never going to hire anyone off the street. You either have the
Sure,
DA practice or you have the public defender practice.
I think that's
And I
fair.
and I don't want you even come to me from another criminal defense firm. Because I don't think the lessons and the teachings you'll get from these government agencies you can find in an actual firm starting off. You
Right.
need this. That's the best base for you.
So
You
like,
get
why do people? I have a quasi government job, not like a DA but and we get government people sometimes get like bad raps. I
why?
think I don't know, but like I've heard it out
Listen,
there. Not in those certain positions, but
I gotta tell you, you guys have jobs that are sometimes unappreciative.
thank you.
Sometimes there's
Yes.
people that don't really even want to say thank you for what you're doing. I have DA guys that literally will go in there and take some guy off the street, and there's no gratitude. I have public defender friends that will go and get a not guilty on a murder trial and won't even get a card to say thank you.
Yeah.
It's a very, but they believe what they're doing is right for humanity and society. And you, it's where you learn to care.
Yeah.
Betty, it's where you learn to actually give a crap about what you're doing.
Yeah.
I can't teach you that coming out from the start. I need you to learn that in a way where there is no sometimes gratitude, and there's only you understanding that what you're doing is to better society
Right.
or to help somebody in need. Once you get that and you actually understand what it is to care about people, you're good to go.
No, I like that. I think it's like a good filter, like to know what you want, and they're also going to be trained a certain way, if they know the system. So I think that's like
And
totally fair.
when you build an army, like I look at our firm now as like more than just me and Amato. You have to build it with the right people. You have to get them from the right places, and you have to be very careful of who you put in. Because if one thing I don't want is I don't want some guy I hire not give a crap about a client, and not
Mhm.
understand what they're going through,
Mhm.
and then not take their case seriously, and then ultimately lose. Or worse, they win, and then they realize that they don't have to carry about the next guy the same way, and then
Right.
they lose in the guy that really shouldn't be lost.
Wow.
That's that I can't deal with.
It's uh it's stressful, man, like what you're doing, you're dealing with people's lives. Do you get clients that are just, they get charged with something and they're just so like be besides themselves that they're calling you like constantly? Like, how do you deal with that? If that has that
I
ever happened or no?
I like it happens all the time.
Yeah.
I'm on vacation right now. I get phone calls from people that like, listen, these guys are going through the worst thing that could ever
Right.
possibly
Right.
happen to them. They have no idea what's going on. I can look at their case and be like, listen, you're gonna be fine. I'm gonna get this is not a big deal. I think you'll
Right.
be all right.
Right.
Like here's what's
Right.
probably gonna happen. Here's the best case scenario. Here's the middle, where I call it as the grand slam, home run, and first base.
Hmm.
You know, you're fine either way. You're not going to jail. Like I already know you're not going to jail. I can't say 100% because nobody can say that, but more likely than not, you're gonna be all right.
Right.
But we're not them. We're not the ones that are walking around pacing from the corner of their house, having a cigarette and a drink every 5 minutes, stressed
Right.
out to the point where they don't even want to go to work. They can't talk to their families. Their whole social ability is now undermined because they can't
Yeah,
put
it's
themselves
crazy.
together. Because they think they're about to go to jail and they think it's going to be a
Yeah.
freaking episode of Oz that HBO
No,
HBO
I've
show.
seen it. I've seen people get like a DUI and it just root like
So if
it's
so, imagine this. All I got to do is pick up the phone and for 5 minutes have a conversation with a person and calm down and they can get some sleep and I can put them in a place where they're normal. Why the heck won't I do that?
right. Sure.
It's nothing.
It's
And
great. So you
eventually
have you definitely so you have empathy and you understand your clients and like their needs and like what they need to hear and everybody's different the way that they handle it.
because Benny, I tell you this, not all of us were good before we became where we are.
Yeah.
And frankly, brother, I wasn't perfect. I know what it is to stress over a problem. I would want
Well,
somebody
I
to
mean, you were
take 5
teaching
minutes
kids the bar prep here, so I mean,
before the bar, before the school. I could have been a client. So,
no, no, man. But you have that you definitely, like I said earlier in the episode, like you have a huge entrepreneurial spirit. You made a mentor. I mean, you met Amato, which is like an incredible thing. So I actually just want to get your opinion real quick on mentors. Like you guys sort of went from him being a mentor and like really caring and now like you're in a spot where you're like a superstar criminal defense attorney in Philly. He's an amazing attorney in Philly. And by the way, like a really nice guy. It was a pleasure to meet him too. He was with
he's
you
great.
in New York when you came to see us, and like he's awesome. And you guys have a great like dynamic too. I think your firm, you guys have a great dynamic. I could tell you have a good time. You're good. Your employees, I've seen like pictures and stuff. They seem like they're smiling. So
Uh,
what about a mentor? Like really makes a difference in like a legal career? Would you say?
I think your mentor has to look at you as somebody like Amato. Actually, like I have to tell you, I fight with him. Me and him will go 12 rounds.
Yeah.
But if that's part of family, you're
Sure.
gonna
Yeah.
you're gonna fight. You're gonna have your disputes. You're gonna have your arguments. At the end of the day, we'll sit down, we'll talk it out, and in 10 minutes, everybody's normal
Hmm.
because he's from day one. He cares.
Right.
He cares about the people in his life. He cares about uh, his family. He cares about the people he's representing. If you don't have that, it's not a mentorship. It's not a partnership. It's
Yeah.
garbage.
Yeah.
Your number one care cannot be money, and that's what I learned from Amato. If you look at it as a paycheck, you're gonna fail. You're gonna
Yeah.
fail, and it's gonna be a disaster. I I could go work tomorrow at 25 different firms if I feel like it, or do
Mhm.
something else. I like being there because I'm with my brother.
Yeah.
He knows me. We went through crap together. We went through good times, bad times together. You know, at one point I put my last $5 into the firm when we had to put money in to build it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Amado was paying my car bill and my, my
Yeah.
mortgage
Yeah.
until the firm made some money. You know, it was never about that. It was always about like we this is our little family. We break bread together, we take care of each other, and we do the right by our clients.
Yeah.
That's why there hasn't been problems. Like problems to the point where you don't want to be there anymore. And
Right.
most of the guys that come in with us, they see it and they kind of they push towards it.
Yep.
And
That's
that's how
awesome.
we've kept everybody together. And like I like if you want to go ahead and do something else, we had a girl who worked for us. She wanted to do psychology. And Amato's like, no problem. He helped her get into Temple. He helped her with her letters of recommendation.
Yep.
Like, it's his dollar, his time. It could be with his family. He's helping people who work for him
Right.
that are not going to even work for him in about a year from now.
Right.
That's who you go to business with. Beyond that, if the dollar is your number one priority in any business relationship, it's not going to work. Eventually, it will
Love
fall
that.
apart because there's going to be days where you're not making money. Then what do you do?
Yeah.
You start turning on each other.
That I love that, and you've said that a couple times. It's not the money first. So, couple more here. So one thing is like if you can change like the criminal justice system, like is there like something that you think is like really unjust about it, or like maybe like victimless crimes, or maybe like
I'll tell
less
you this.
jail, or
I think as far as what needs to be changes, I think people deserve second chances. So if in fact you can go a good amount of time without messing up, you deserve to have your record expunged. You deserve to have a clean slate.
okay,
I don't think the majority of crimes that we have should follow you.
okay,
I'm not talking about the bad ones, the ones that the homicides, the selling of drugs with the fentanyl stuff. Listen, those are serious choices you're making. They come with serious consequences. But I'm talking about a couple of the smaller stuff, the DUIs, the
and like
possession.
sex crimes too. Like those should be
Look, sex crimes, they're definitely those are serious crimes.
yeah,
That's a different ball
yeah,
game.
yeah,
But I have, it's interesting. Like those aren't the, those aren't the one. Those have their own roads and their own life choice. Like those people are. It's hard, especially. It's even hard for me to say it the right way because you have to be sensitive to the individuals that are victims that are also clients in this predicament.
right,
Because not every person that is accused of a sex crime like a rape, sometimes you go to court and you win and they realize that the person was lying, but other times it wasn't that. And those are the crimes that I think should have a stricter punishment for deterrences. But
right,
then you have stuff like a guy that forgot his permit to carry. You want to give him a felony? Or a
yeah,
guy that had a
yeah,
record
no,
5
yeah,
years ago, he went and tried to buy a firearm, and now they charged him with falsifying statements. That guy
right,
should have a record. Give me a break. There's, first offense DUIs, they do it right. They give you a program, they knock you out. That's fine. But other crimes, like you get into a bar fight with somebody, listen, we've all been in fights. It's normal. It's normal,
right, yeah,
especially if the other person doesn't have a problem with it. Work it out where, or give it like a couple of anger management classes. 5 years go by, no issues. Get rid of it.
right.
You got to give people second chance. Otherwise, you're preventing people from moving on with their life, working and repenting the right way.
So if a matter's expunged, like it just goes clear from the record, no longer there.
Yeah, if you get expungement, it's gone. It's gone. There's a
Wow.
sealing of the record. Sealing is when they clear it off. Only a judge will have to give a court order to reopen it. That's a difference. That's a whole different ball game. But Pennsylvania is tough on this. I mean, they have some new stuff that's happening now that's making it a little better.
Hmm.
But for the most part, Jersey's got 5-10 year rules on felonies.
Okay.
Certain felonies, after a couple of years, you can just get rid of them and that's done, and people never see them, and you move on with your life. I think that's the right structure to have.
Gotcha. All right. Well, Michael, did we leave anything out today? Was there anything
Yeah,
else?
man. I think we went through everything. We went through the whole history, the whole
I think
4
we
hours.
hit it pretty well for 4 hours. Is that what you said?
Well, it felt like 4 hours.
Oh, come on, man! Like you're not supposed to say that. All right. Well,
Betty. Honestly, it was long overdue.
long overdue, man. I know. It was about 6 months over. No, that's okay though. Hey, stay right there, Michael. Thanks for the excellent work you're doing out there for everybody and defending.
Brother, thanks for getting all of us in the community together like you
Yeah,
do.
man. Yeah,
I don't
man. We're
think there's
gonna.
anything like this that exists, what you're doing. And Benny, you're doing a hell of a job getting us all together and
Thanks, man.
everybody sharing their stories and connecting. That's a big deal, bro.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Stay right there. Everybody else, wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Cheers.